there, fantasy owners. Welcome to LTC Fantasy. Not sure if you're chiming in via YouTube or listening via podcast, but appreciate the listen and watching nonetheless there. Really do appreciate it. We're going to continue along with our team reviews. We're going to look at the Colorado Avalanche and taking a look at the depth chart as per dailyfaceoff.com. Usually find them the most accurate. And we're kind of into the dog days of summer, where it's more RFA, arbitration hearings, etc. You might see a few tweaks on rosters, other than where Kadri lands. We still don't know where that is. He's been linked to Colorado, but he's also pretty heavily involved with the Islanders as per the different rumor articles out there. Really wish he would sign, so it'd make it a little bit easier. But nonetheless, pretty much rosters, like I said, are set. There might be the odd tweak, so it's time to start doing some previews and getting prepped for our upcoming fantasy drafts. So moving right along, Colorado, their goaltending tandem, it'll be Pavel Francouz and Alexander Georgiev. Now Francouz, he's 32 years old. Last year he got into 21 games played. He had a nice record, 15-5-1 with 2 shutouts. Pretty easy to do with a stacked roster like Colorado in front of you. 2.55 goals against average and a .916 save percentage. Now the newcomer Georgiev, he's 6 years younger, 26 years old. Last year he got into 33 games. He was 15-10-2, so had a nice winning record. Also had 2 shutouts, a 2.92 goals against average and 898 save percentage. So a lower save percentage there. But you did see last year in spurts when Shesterkin was hurt, Georgiev played actually quite well when he had steady stream of starts. And he should definitely get that this year in Colorado. Sakic said he called him the starter. See what happens there. And the contract they did give him was over $3 million, so more than what you want to pay a backup. So there's a good chance that he does start a fair share of games there, especially early on. See what he provides. I think overall it might turn into a little bit of a tandem situation, but I think Georgiev has more fantasy upside than Francouz anyways, and definitely a lot stronger roster that he's playing behind this year. Moving along to defensemen, top pairing is Devin, Taves, and Kale, Mccarr. What a pairing this was last year. Taves really came into his own. Taves, he should be on the second power play and top PK unit. He's 28 years old. Last year, 66 games played, had 13 goals, 44 assists for 57 points, so way above his career average. 12 power play points, that's a nice touch. 54 hits, 85 blocks, and 158 shots on goal. Really expect similar production because Colorado's going to be strong again this year. Kale Mccarr now, he should be on the top power play unit, second PK unit, only 23 years old. What a season for a 23-year-old. 77 games played, 28 goals, 58 assists for 86 points, almost a 30-goal man from the blue line. Might have had a good shot at having it if he played all 82. 34 power play points, 95 hits and 110 blocks. Those are really nice totals for an offensive defenseman. And 240 shots on goal. Really, he does it all. He skates like the wind. And he's only 23. There's no reason that he can't. Really good season why he can't exceed these numbers even. So I really do expect him should be, in my opinion, first D-man off the board. Maybe Yossi just because he had that stellar season, but Mccarr, you can't say enough good things about him. Grab him early if you can. Second pairing is Samuel Girard and Josh Manson. Now Girard, he should be on the second PK, 24 years old. He did get second PP power play time this year, but with Byram back from a concussion, he's probably be off the power play units, but he'd be the first one to jump into a power play role if one of the main guys come off there. Last year, 67 games played, 5 goals, 23 assists for 28 points. So down by his standards, but not the worst production anyways. 7 power play points, 65 hits, 90 blocks, and 79 shots on goal. Realistically, Girard, you got to watch the injury situation on the Avalanche blue line before you do pick him up, just because he's buried down, because it's really deep with offensive defensemen. If one of them do go down and get hurt, Gerard would be a nice call-up, but I'm probably leaving him alone in drafts. Josh Manson came over from Anaheim there and re-signed, 30 years old. Last year, 67 games played, 6 goals, 10 assists for 16 points. So, not a really lot of offensive production. Did have 179 hits there, so he shows more value in a banger league, but you could possibly find somebody that might be a little bit lower in hits, but definitely gives you a more offensive upside there. 70 blocks and 92 shots on goal. The third pairing is going to be Bowen Byram and Eric Johnson this year. Now, Bowen Byram, he should be on the second PP unit, only 21 years of age, so really young. Only got into 30 games last year because he did have those concussion issues. 5 goals, 12 assists for 17 points, so over a half point per game. As a young defenseman, definitely look at him this year. 1 power play point, 53 hits, 26 blocks, 49 shots on goal. Just because of low point total, he's probably going to be passed up in a lot of drafts. You might be able to sneak him in a late round. Even if he doesn't end up getting drafted, have him as one of your first call-ups, so to speak, because he definitely will have some fantasy value this year. I truly believe anyways. And then Eric Johnson is D partner, first PK unit, 34 years old. Played a long time to lift that cup there. It was nice to see him lift the cup, even though they did sweep my Oilers, but that's besides the point. Last year, 77 games played, 8 goals, 17 assists for 25 points. So not bad production for that old of a defenseman, but you're probably passing him up. Unless it's in a banger league, he does show value. 1 power play point. This is where it comes into play for a banger league. 165 hits, really nice hit total. 136 blocks, so really good block total there. And 139 shots on goal. So overall, compared to Manson, which I mentioned earlier, he'd probably be a better option for you because there's a little bit more offense. He has a little bit less hits, but more blocks, more shots on goal. Moving along to forwards now. Well, talk about the mystery man Nazem Kadri first. Like, if he signs, how does that affect the roster? Mind you, salary does need to come out to sign him. But we'll talk about him first just in case. If he does sign, he's going to slide right back into the second line center and second power play unit. He'll be 31 years old. Last year he had 71 games played, 28 goals, 59 assists for 87 points. He had 29 power play points, 52 hits, 19 blocks, 247 shots on goal. So he had a really, really awesome season. Great to see it in a contract year because he's going to get paid. Be a little bit aware when drafting him in fantasy that you're not going to get the 87 points. He's been in the league for 12 years now, and his career best was 61 points before this 87-point breakout. Logic dictates that he's probably going to slide back to that 60-point range. Not saying he's not going to be fantasy relevant. He'll still get you points, but he's probably overvalued in a lot of drafts. If he does come back, that means like Ben Myers, who's slated on the fourth line, is probably going to go to the AHL. Wasn't much fantasy value there. And Comfer will come off the second PP unit, or he'll be traded, because that's one of the guys linked that if they're trying to shed salary, Comfer is probably the odd man out, possibly Sam Girard. Now, if Girard gets traded, depending where he goes, that gets him a little bit more value because he's not buried behind a deep blue line that like Colorado has. But with Kadri, definitely shows value. Definitely will be drafted. I just think in a lot of drafts he's going to get drafted too high for the value that he brings. Which brings us to the other 4 lines. We'll assume now that he doesn't get signed. How will they look? The top lines looks to be the same with Landeskog, McKinnon, and Ratman. That's a hard line to face every night. Holy crap. Landeskog, he'll be on the first PP unit, 29 years old. Last year, 51 games played, so missed over 30 games. And he still had a 30-goal season, 29 assists for 59 points. In there, he had 15 power play points, threw 94 hits in 51 games, 34 blocks, and 150 shots on goal. Definitely going to get drafted. Probably going to get drafted in the first few rounds, deservingly so. Nathan McKinnon, he'll be a top 10 pick in most drafts. He'll be on the top power play unit, 26 years old. Probably top 5 in a lot of drafts, to be quite honest with you, but might slide into the 6, 7, 8 range. Anyways, 26 years old, 65 games played, 32 goals, 56 assists for 88 points, 27 power play points, 68 hits, 39 blocks, 299 shots on goal. Can't say enough about him. Does everything. Definitely be drafted. If you're outside of the top 3, 4, you're probably taking him. Miko Ratman, their linemate, first power play unit, 25 years old, 75 games played. Think about this top line. Like, Ratman was the best, 7 games missed, but McKinnon missed 17 and Landeskog missed 31. Imagine if they were healthy, how much damage they would have done last year. They already did a ton, and they missed a lot of games from their top line. Anyways, Ratman, 75 games played, 36 goals, 56 assists for 92 points, 35 power play points, 58 hits, 43 blocks. Not going to wow you in that area, but the points and the power play points are huge. 254 shots on goal, so a lot of shots on goal there too. Second line, it's new look with Kadri out and Lechonin in, but should be Valeri Nichushkin, JT Compher, and Arturi Lechonin. Now, Nichushkin had a really good season last year, should be on the second PP, signed that nice contract, 27 years old, 62 games played last year. He had 25 goals, 27 assists for 52 points. So really nice season, about 0.8 points per game there. 9 power play points, 89 hits, nice hit total for 62 games, 27 blocks, and 180 shots on goal. Definitely was a sleeper in that end because he had very low ownership most of the season last year. Didn't really get picked up in a lot of leagues till a little bit later on, and it definitely paid dividends for those of you that did pick him up. Good on you. JT Compher, second PP unit, first PK, 27 years old. Last year, 70 games played, 18 goals, 15 assists for 33 points. So not a lot of fantasy value out of him, but keep in mind that he's moved up on the depth chart this year, assuming Kadri doesn't sign. So you should see that production come up. He had 6 power play points, 40 hits, 36 blocks, and 113 shots on goal. This is one that I'm not going to draft him, but I'm going to keep him on my watch list. I keep a lot of players on a watch list on the side there. See how he starts out the season, because bumping up, that's somebody that will get overlooked in most drafts. And you might be able to get him on the waiver wire, so even if you draft somebody that's on IR, say, and you could pick him up and keep him up there till you can see how he does, etc., definitely somebody maybe take a flyer on early on the waiver wire. Now, the last part of the equation is Arturi Lechonin. He should be on that top power play unit. There'll be definitely add some value there playing with Ratman, Mckinnon, and Landeskog. 27 years old. He got into 74 games last year, had 19 goals, 19 assists for 38 points. 3 of them on the power play. Definitely going to see increased power play production from him. 82 hits, 39 blocks, 155 shots on goal. This is somebody maybe in a standard draft, you pick him really late. In a Yahoo draft, I'm probably waiting to pick him up on the waiver wire, etc., because I definitely do see him increasing that production there. Moving along to the third line is Andrew Cogliano, Alex Newhook, and Logan O'Connor. Now, Andrew Cogliano, he came over last year, should be on the second PK unit. He's 35 years old now, so he's definitely getting up there in age. 74 games played, had 4 goals, 12 assists for 16 points. So not a lot of offensive upside there. Had 104 hits, so decent hit total, but again, third line minutes, I'm probably leaving him alone, to be honest. 31 blocks, 75 shots on goal. Really, honestly, do leave him alone. There'd be a lot better options than 16 points, I guarantee you. Alex Newhook, he should be on the second power play unit. so he'll get a little more ice time than your normal third liner. 21 years old, so really young. Last year, 71 games played, had 13 goals, 20 assists for 33 points. So almost half point per game. Young kid, should get a little bit of power play time, so I do see his production improving. Is it enough to draft him? For me, no. But might be somebody to kind of lightly keep an eye on, see how he does there. If he does move up into the top 6, you never know with injuries, etc. Might be somebody to stream on midway later on in the season. Of those 33 points, 6 were on the power play, 40 hits, 36 blocks, 113 shots on goal. And the last one on the line is Logan O'Connor. Again, probably not really fantasy relevant. Somebody you want on your roster on a hockey team, just not a fantasy hockey team. Should be on the top PK, 25 years old last year. 81 games played, 8 goals, 16 assists for 24 points. Through 100 hits, 59 blocks, 127 shots on goal. Like I mentioned, leave him alone, to be honest. You might find a little bit of value in a banger league for him. That'd be about the only place that I may be having him on my roster. And even then, it's probably a streaming play, not a draft play. Fourth line, just like pretty much everybody's fourth line, leave them alone, but we'll go through the fourth line anyways. Darren, Helm, Ben Myers, and Jason Magna. Now, Darren Helm, should be on the second PK. Him, like Cogliano's 35 years old, so definitely a ripe tomato on the vine, so to speak. He had 68 games played, 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points, so not a lot of value there. 114 hits, 27 blocks, and 93 shots on goal. Their centerman, Ben Myers, he's 23 years old. He only got into 5 games. He only had 1 assist for 1 point, obviously. 1 hit, 1 block, 8 shots on goal. Definitely not going to touch him for sure. Jason Magna, he's 32 years old. He got into 20 games. Never had a goal, 3 assists for 3 points. 27 hits, 9 blocks, 19 shots on goal. So again, nobody that you're really going to trust or want on your roster. But again, you never know what happens with depth chart. I'd be looking more at prospects coming up because they're more than likely going to get a role there. But that pretty much wraps up Colorado. Hope you did enjoy the video. We'll be out tomorrow with another one there. If you're watching via YouTube, please remember to hit like, hit subscribe. Remember that notification bell. If you're listening via podcast, remember to hit that heart, hit follow, depending on what platform, what they call it there. Really do appreciate the listens, everyone. Hope you do well on these your upcoming drafts. Hope these videos do help you out. And we'll see you in a bit there, fantasy owners.